I have clients all the time ask me about techniques and specifically about journaling and about scripting. And there's a specific way of journaling that physically rewires your brain in as little as 4 sessions. Not metaphorically, but physically rewires your brain. Your brain literally changes structure when you do this. And the best part is the same writing that rewires your brain is the writing that allows you to manifest the reality you actually want to experience. I'm going to share with you the science behind why this works, the exact method I use and also teach my clients, and how to combine it with the law of assumption so you're healing your brain and manifesting at the exact same time. If that sounds good to you, stay tuned till the end because I'm not going to just share the process, but also an inspiring story from one of my one-on-one clients as well. If you're new here, hello, I am your Muse Traci. On this channel, I help you unlock the power you already have but can't access. I help you break through where years of trying has failed. And the biggest hurdle of all, I help you go from intellectually knowing the law to permanently embodying it. So, what's actually happening in your brain when you write? Studies have found that people who wrote their thoughts and emotions for 15 to 20 minutes a day over 4 consecutive days experienced measurable changes in their brain and also in their body. Their immune function improved, their stress hormones decreased, their anxiety levels dropped, their depression symptoms lessened. And these effects lasted for a significant amount of time, up to 6 months after they did this 4-day exercise. 4 sessions, around 15 minutes each, with these long lasting brain changes. And there's a study from UCLA that goes even deeper. They found that when you put your emotions into words on paper, it reduces activity in the amygdala. And that's the part of the brain responsible for fear and your stress responses. At the same time, it activates your prefrontal cortex, and that's the part responsible for clear thinking and conscious choice. So when you write, you're calming the part of your brain that creates fear, and you're activating the part that creates reality consciously. You're shifting from reactive mode to creator mode at the neurological level. And it goes beyond that as well. Writing engages multiple parts of your brain simultaneously. The language center, the memory center, the emotional processing center, the motor cortex. All of these are activated when you handwrite. All of these areas synchronize. They start working together, they harmonize, and new neural pathways form between them. This is neuroplasty, your brain physically reorganizing based on what you focus on. So, when you write about your desires, when you write from the state of already having them, you're wiring your brain to expect them, to recognize them, to match the frequency of already having them. Your brain then becomes the brain of a person who has what they want, already has what they want, before you have it, before you have any physical evidence. And then, of course, the mirror of your reality catches up because that's what it's always doing. It's always following you. So let's talk about an exact method for what this study is describing. It combines the research with law of assumption. So you're going to write for 15 to 20 minutes a day by hand if possible, because handwriting engages your brain more deeply than typing. And you're going to do this for at least 4 consecutive days to start with. That's the minimum threshold the research shows for measurable brain changes. Part 1. Acknowledge what is. Spend a few minutes writing about what's currently in your reality, not to dwell on it, but to acknowledge it, right? We can't change what we don't look at. So we want to acknowledge it. And I want you to also not only acknowledge the physical circumstances, but acknowledge your emotions, your state, maybe your thoughts. If you have recurring and looping thoughts, I want you to also get all of this out, right? In other words, so here's what's in your current reality, but here's what's going on inside of you, maybe because of that physical reality circumstance. So, when you put your current circumstances into words, you are going through the process of reducing the emotional charge around them, and they start to lose their grip. So, you might write things like, right now, I don't see any movement with my specific person. Right now, my bank account is lower than I want it to be. Right now, I feel anxious and unsure about my future. So you're not making this your truth. You're labeling what is so your brain can release it. Okay. Part two. Now we're going to shift and write from the end. And of course, this is where the manifestation magic happens, right? Neville teaches you think from the end. Well, you're going to be writing from the end. So you shift completely and you start writing as if your desire has already happened, as if you're recalling something that has already played out and occurred in physical reality. Not things like, I hope my specific person comes back, but I'm so happy that my specific person and I are now in a harmonious relationship, planning the future and living our dream relationship. If it's money, not I want more money, but it would sound more like the $50,000 came through. I'm so grateful for how easy it was. I knew everything was going to work out. So you write in past or present tense, whichever one feels more powerful to you, and you include as much sensory details as you can. You definitely include your emotions about how you feel about this end. You include what was said, how it felt, and what was next after you already achieved this goal. You already realized it. You already lived it. You see, your brain doesn't differentiate between something you vividly imagine on paper and write about and something that actually happened. The same neural networks fire either way. So when you write your desire as if it's already happened with feeling, with detail, your brain accepts it as true. Your subconscious starts operating from that reality. And the mirror does what it's always already doing. It follows that. It follows your state of being. Part three, identify the belief. Then ask yourself one question. What would I have to believe for this reality to be real? Write the answer, whatever beliefs come up that match your new reality. Identify them, write them. So it would be things like, I am inherently worthy of love. Money flows to me easily. I am always chosen and seen. You're not affirming these robotically. You're identifying the beliefs that align with the reality you just wrote about yourself, right? That you are creating and aligning yourself with. And by writing them, you are starting to install them. Part four, this is where you give gratitude in advance. So you can end this writing session by giving thanks, not for what you want, but for what you've already received in consciousness. So it sounds like, thank you for this amazing, beautiful, loving relationship. Thank you for the abundance flowing through my life effortlessly. Thank you for the version of me that I now am. And this shifts you into the receiving mode. You've basically already accepted all of this as true. It tells your subconscious that the work is done. So when you have dwelled in your assumption long enough that you have accepted it within yourself, now you are allowing that assumption to be made manifest. So your only job is to find that place of acceptance within you. You know, you're self-convincing here. That's all you're trying to do. That's all you're ever trying to do with manifestation. This has nothing to do with physical action and, what you're doing. None of that is relevant. Some of that might occur automatically, but your job when you're manifesting is to self-convince. Because once you accept your end, it has no choice but to show up. So if you're not convinced, you're not self-convinced, that is where your work is. So you give gratitude and you end the session this way, as if the desire is already yours. You're already feeling grateful for it. And you close the journal and then you go along, continuing on with your life and the rest of your day. So let me talk a little bit about why this specific method works so well. The reason is because you're doing 4 things at once. You're calming your amygdala by labeling what is. You're not avoiding, you're not denying, you're looking at it. You're activating your prefrontal cortex by consciously choosing your focus, what you now prefer to focus on. You're creating new neural pathways by writing from the end. You're reprogramming your subconscious by identifying and installing the new aligned beliefs. And the effect is your whole brain synchronizes around this new reality. And the research shows the benefits last. It's not temporary. Research found that the changes from just 4 days of writing continue months after people stopped this exercise. And you don't have to stop. You can if you want to, but you don't have to. So when you do this for 4 days, you're not just shifting for those 4 days. You're wiring patterns that continue to support you long after. Now, combine that with the law of assumption. You're not just changing your brain, you're dwelling in the state of the wish fulfilled. You're aligning with the version of reality where your desires already exist. And what do we know about what happens when you do that? Your inner world shifts and your outer world has to follow. That's the law. So now let's talk about my client. I had a client who had been working on a career change for over a year. She was visualizing, she was affirming, doing lots of techniques. And I had her start this journaling method 4 days and just, 15 minutes minimum. And she went through the exact steps. She acknowledged her current job. Then she wrote in vivid detail about the new role she wanted, as if she'd already started that new job. She, mentioned things like the team meetings, her new morning commute, the conversations she would have with her new boss, what she started to accomplish in this new role. She started talking about all of these things in detail as a present fact. And by day 4, she got a call, a recruiter reaching out about a role she hadn't even applied for, a role that matched exactly what she had been writing about. And within 2 weeks, she had that job. So that's neuroplasty meeting the law of assumption. That's you healing your brain and manifesting the life that you want. So here's how to start this today. You can start today. Get a notebook, not your phone, not a laptop, ideally your handwriting, an actual notebook, a pen. The motor cortex engagement from handwriting is part of what creates the brain changes. So that part is important. Then just set a timer for 15 minutes. You can go longer if you want. If you get into the groove and you feel like it, that's fine. Commit to just 4 days minimum. And each day, follow the structure. Acknowledge what is, write from the end in detail, identify the new beliefs that support this new end, and then you end in gratitude. Don't worry about the grammar. Don't worry about, if there's punctuation or even if it flows, just write and let it flow out of you. The flow matters more than perfection. It's not a presentation or, you're not going to submit it for someone else to read. It's about letting these things flow inside of you and out onto the paper. And you do this consistently. The brain change happens with repetition. And as we know, the manifestation happens when you maintain the new state long enough to convince yourself, accept it as true, and you allow the mirror to reflect you. 4 days, 15 to 20 minutes. That's all it takes to start. You don't even have to really get a spiffy notebook. Start with any old paper that you have access to. Of course, if you can have a nice, beautiful journal, why not, right? But don't let that be a block. Grab any paper, any pen, and just start. If you want to go deeper into this type of work, and if you want my help identifying the deeper programming and assisting you, walking you through every step of the way of rebuilding your self-concept so that manifestation becomes effortless in your life, that's exactly the work I do with my clients. There is a link in the description where you can book a one-on-one call with me to see if we are a good fit to work together. My clients get amazing results and learn to set themselves free from past programming, breaking out of, toxic loops, traumatic loops, painful loops. I teach them all of this to break free of the programming that keeps you stuck in your life. And they learn to harness the creative power they were simply born with. So I'd love to help you do the same. If you're interested in that type of transformation, go ahead and click the link, book a free strategy call with me. But either way, get a notebook, start today, start now. You don't have to wait for the morning time. And come back to this video and tell me what happened after 4 days. What happened after 2 weeks? I want to hear the success stories. So leave me a comment down below. Thank you all so much for watching this one. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I'll see you in the next video.